Now what we're going to generate out of here to start building our page is going to be the images. Now the images we'll have here, there'll be an image at the top. Our whole header image will be an image. It'll include the logo, the photo, and the tractor. Okay. This address section, we're not going to have an image, but we will save this little image here because we're going to put it as a background image in our address section. The rest can just be background color, but we're not going to save this whole thing as an image, just the little tractor part. Everything else could be text and just a background color to keep our file sizes down. Also on this right side, this will be an image. Bottom will not be an image. The middle will not be an image. That'll just be text with a white background. And over here, we're going to start by using all these buttons as an image, and we'll actually use an image map to make them link. But they can also be set up as buttons with CSS. They could be set up with round corners and the same background color, and even drop shadow on them with CSS3. But just for now, as we're kind of learning to lay out this page, we're going to keep them as one big image, and then actually link to the separate parts of them with image maps, which is very easy to do in Dreamweaver. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do here is just generate my images. And the way I'm going to do this, I'll go over the process, is highlighting a section. Now keep in mind there's multiple layers here, so I want to make sure that I go Edit, Copy Merged, because that will make a copy of basically a flattened version of what I'm looking at without having to flatten it. So I'm going to do a Copy Merged, okay, and then I'm going to do File New and make a new document. And the nice thing about doing that is it'll use the same size that I just copied, and it's 72 pixels per inch resolution, RGB color, and I'll hit OK. And all that I'll have to do is just do a paste. I'll do a Command V on a Mac and just do a paste. Okay, and then this is ready to save. And I'm going to do a file save for web. And because it's a photographic image for the most part, I could scroll around here. You could also put this in 4-up mode if you wanted to try different versions, but just the optimized one for this is fine. This will be saved as a JPEG, and I'm going to save it as JPEG high. Okay, to get kind of the best overall quality. It's kind of a little higher than medium range setting for JPEG. I don't want to compress it too much, but I want to keep the file size down. That's only going to be 50K, which is pretty small. So once I click on that and I change it to JPEG high over here, I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to save it into my images folder. And let me just make sure that I'm in here, and yes I am, and I'm in my images folder, and I'm just going to call it JLC header.jpg, and I'll just do a save. And this file, since I made a new file here when I pasted it, I don't need it anymore because I have my JPEG and I have my original composite, so I don't really need this intermediate file, so I'm just going to close it. It's just kind of a temporary file. Okay, and I'm going to keep moving on. I'm going to do the sidebar, which is the aside section over here. So I'm just going to highlight this section, and it's going to go right through. It's going to go right up to the address, but it's not going to include that. So I'll do an edit copy merged. Make sure you do copy merged. And then a file new. And then I'll do OK. And paste it. You don't have to do paste special or anything. Just do paste. And there it is. And I'm also going to do a file save for web now. And I'll keep it at JPEG high. It's defaulting to JPEG high. That's what I did last time. I'll do save. And I'll call this JLC, and I'll just call it side pics. I'll be descriptive about it. And I'll hit save. And I'll close this file again because I don't need this temporary file. And again, one other image. I mentioned we could do these in CSS, but to start we're going to do these as just one image. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'll try to do it. It's 226. That's a good number as long as I have the shadow in there. I'll highlight this image. I'll make sure that I do edit copy merged. I'll do file new. I'll hit OK, and I'll paste. And then I'll save this one as JLC nav buttons. Oh wait, let me cancel that. I did that wrong. I didn't want to do a file save. Although you can do a file save, you can do a save as and choose JPEG, although you don't get to preview it. So you can do it that way, but it started saving as a PST. So let me do that again. Save for web, and now it's JPEG high. It's just the way I did it last time, and I'll hit save. and I'll make sure that I save it as JLC underscore, and I'll call it nav buttons. Just very descriptive, and I'm using the same sequence each time. And again, I don't have to save this file. And the one last thing, the other image I am going to save here is this little piece of the tractor. I'm going to highlight it from here on over. This little piece will be a background image that will be able to position to the right side of our address section, which will be nice. And then any type, if type had to go over this, it could, but we're not really going to have it go over. But this little piece is going to be a background image of the address. So I am going to save this as an image, so I'll do the same thing. Copy merged, file new. I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to save this in the same way. Save for web, and I'll just call this, it is JPEG high, I'll just call this JLC, and I'll call it tractor, and I'll put it address so I know that it's going into the address bar. So those are my 4 images. Save that. Don't need this. Those are my 4 images that are going to go into my folder, and here they are in my images. There's my 4 images in there. Those are the only 4 images I need for, at least for my home page, unless I bring in any more images. My composite, I'm going to keep open so I could, maybe look at it for any other thing, but hopefully you should write down as many things as you can so you don't have to keep going back and forth. Okay, so the next step of this is we're going to define this as a site in Dreamweaver, and then we're going to start building our HTML page, and then using our CSS to do all those neat things like indicate the font, the color, the size, the width, and then float these columns next to each other and have one single place to make any changes. So that's where we're going to go to next. We're going to define the site in Dreamweaver and start building this from our Photoshop composite.